Welcome back to Silent Conspiracy. Tonight, we explore one of India's most chilling and innovative murder cases, a crime so calculated and diabolical that it took extraordinary forensic investigation to prove that a live cobra had been deliberately weaponized to commit murder. Picture this: May 2020, Kerala. A 25-year-old woman named Uthra lies dead in her bedroom, bitten by a cobra. What should be a tragic accident in a region known for venomous snakes becomes the basis for one of India's most extraordinary murder investigations. But here's the shocking twist. This wasn't Uthra's first snakebite. It's just weeks earlier, in March 2020. She had been bitten by a Russell's viper and spent 52 days hospitalized with permanent nerve damage. Investigators begin asking the impossible question. Could two separate snakebite deaths be coincidence? Or had someone weaponized India's most feared serpents to slowly torture and finally murder his wife? What they would uncover is a meticulously planned serial attempt involving two different deadly snake sedatives, a deliberately starved cobra, and a husband so determined to steal his wife's wealth that he orchestrated a murder scenario that seemed impossible to overthrow. Was a 25-year-old woman from a wealthy background living in Anchal Column district, Kerala. She had a learning disability, which, while not affecting her fundamental human worth, made her vulnerable to exploitation by those closest to her. Through a matchmaking service, Uthra was introduced to Suraj S. Kumar, a 27-year-old bank employee from a modest background. By all superficial measures, it seemed a promising match. Suraj came from a respectable middle-class family. He had a steady job, a couple married, and Uthra's family provided an enormous dowry: 45 tolas of gold, a new Suzuki sedan, 500,000 in cash, and a monthly allowance.
Ow!
For the first year, the marriage seemed normal. But after the birth of their son, everything changed. Suraj's behavior transformed completely. He became impatient, demanding, and obsessed with money. He constantly harangued Uthra's family for more financial support, claiming his own family's needs required additional funds. He began making cryptic comments to friends about Uthra's supposed destiny, that she was haunted by the curse of a serpent and destined to die of snakebite. These statements, casual enough to avoid alarming anyone, were in fact confessions of premeditated murder disguised as mysticism. On March 2, 2020, Uthra experienced a shocking incident that would have killed most people. She was bitten by a Russell's viper, one of India's big four most dangerous snakes. Vipers have hemotoxic venom that destroys tissue and blood vessels. It's causing excruciating pain and often permanent disability or death. According to police investigation, Suraj had captured the viper and stored it in a plastic bag. That night, he mixed sedatives into a sweet dish of Indian rice pudding, causing Uthra to fall into a deep sleep. While she was unconscious and defenseless, he forced the viper to bite her. Uthra awoke in excruciating pain. Suraj, playing the concerned husband, rushed her to the hospital. The bite was treated, but she suffered severe consequences: permanent nerve damage, inability to walk properly, and a grueling 52-day hospitalization where she was essentially immobilized. During her long hospital stay, she lay largely helpless, an ideal victim for what would come next. Uthra was discharged on May 5, 2020, still recovering with limited mobility. Just one day later, on May 6th, Suraj made his final move. Uthra's family had brought her to her parents' home in Anchal for continued recovery and support. That evening, Suraj offered her a glass of fruit juice laced with sedatives. When the mixture rendered her unconscious, he retrieved a 5-foot-long cobra that he had purchased and kept captive. According to police, the cobra's stomach was completely empty, evidence it had been deliberately starved for at least 7 days to make it more aggressive and venomous. A starving snake, deprived of food and water, becomes irritable and more likely to strike. Suraj brought out the container holding the cobra, overturned it, and dropped the 5-foot serpent directly onto his sleeping wife. When the cobra initially failed to bite, Suraj didn't rely on chance. He physically seized the snake's head and forced its fangs into Uthra's left arm. Causing 2 deliberate bites, Uthra awoke in agony and was rushed to the hospital by Suraj, who again played the concerned, bewildered husband. This time, the cobra venom proved fatal. Despite medical intervention, Uthra died. When police investigated, they encountered a critical problem. The second-floor bedroom where Uthra slept was locked with windows closed, making it physically impossible for a cobra to enter naturally. This fact alone proved premeditation and human agency. Additionally, forensic experts, including renowned snake specialist Veva Suresh, noted that the bite marks were anatomically inconsistent with a natural snake attack. A defensive snake, once it bites and injects venom, typically retreats. It doesn't bite the same victim twice within seconds, as snakes conserve their venom. But Uthra bore 2 distinct bite marks on her left arm, indicating the cobra had been forced to strike her repeatedly, an unnatural behavioral pattern that suggested human manipulation. Initially, Uthra's death appeared to be a tragic snakebite accident in a region where such deaths occur regularly. But Uthra's family members became suspicious when they learned she had been bitten by a different snake just weeks earlier. How could someone be bitten twice by 2 different highly venomous snakes in the span of just 2 months? They asked police. This improbability triggered the investigation. Police arrested Suraj on May 8, 2020, 2 days after his wife's death. What followed was one of India's most thorough and scientific murder investigations. The prosecution built an overwhelming case using multiple categories of evidence. Call records. Police analyzed Suraj's phone records and discovered 124 calls between Suraj and Shivara Kavu, Suresh, the snake catcher, on a single day. They also found documentation of previous calls and meetings where Suraj had negotiated to purchase snakes. Internet history. Investigators examined Suraj's browsing history and found searches related to snakes, venom, and how animals respond to sedatives. The cobra's forensics. The dead cobra was exhumed from the family's back garden, where Suraj's family had buried it to destroy evidence. Autopsy of the snake revealed a completely empty stomach, indicating it had been starved deliberately for at least 7 days, evidence of premeditation. Snakes normally digest food within a week, so an empty stomach proved prolonged captivity without food. Sedative evidence. Police found a stash of sedative medications in the family car. Medication Suraj had used to render his wife unconscious before each snakebite attack. Witness testimony. More than 90 witnesses testified, including herpetologists and medical experts. Snake expert Veva Suresh provided crucial testimony that the bite patterns were anatomically inconsistent with natural snake behavior. The confession. The snake catcher, Shevarukavo Suresh, eventually became an approver prosecution witness and provided detailed evidence of his dealings with Suresh. Most damning, Suresh testified that after learning of Uthra's death through a newspaper, Suraj called him and instructed him to keep silent, suggesting they could attribute her death to a serpent curse rather than face murder charges. During investigation, police discovered Suraj's true motivation, Uthra's life insurance policy. Suraj had taken out substantial insurance on his wife, ensuring he would receive a significant payout upon her death. More revelations emerged. Suraj intended to divorce Uthra anyway. He wanted to marry another woman. But if he simply divorced Uthra, her family could reclaim the dowry and they would lose the gift assets. By murdering her, he could keep everything: the gold, the car, the cash, the insurance money, and be free to marry again. The meticulousness of the plan revealed a disturbing level of premeditation. This wasn't a crime of passion or momentary rage. It was a calculated assassination that took months to plan and multiple attempts to perfect. The trial faced an unprecedented challenge. How do you prove beyond reasonable doubt that a specific person forced an animal to bite someone? Animal behavior is unpredictable. How could prosecutors prove Suraj deliberately caused the cobra to bite twice? The answer lay in circumstantial evidence so comprehensive that it created a web of proof rather than relying on eyewitness testimony. The prosecution presented 1,000 pages of charges detailing the conspiracy. On October 13, 2021, Kollam Additional District and Sessions Court delivered its verdict. Suraj S. Kumar was guilty. The judge, Manoj M., found him guilty of murder using the cobra as a weapon, attempted murder, the earlier Viper attack, poisoning, administering sedatives, destruction of evidence. Suraj received 17 years imprisonment, plus 2 consecutive life sentences, and a penalty of 5 lakh. This was India's harshest sentence structure, essentially ensuring he would die in prison. Most significantly, the judge called the case the rarest of the rarest cases in Indian legal history. The first time a live animal had been successfully prosecuted as a murder weapon. What makes this case even more disturbing is the Supreme Court's revelation in a related case in Rajasthan. Using poisonous snakes to commit murder is becoming a new trend that is becoming common in Rajasthan. In fact, even as Suraj was being tried for Uthra's murder, the Supreme Court of India was denying bail to another man, Krishna Kumar, accused of using a snake to murder an elderly woman, Subhadevi, in Jungunu district, Rajasthan. The Supreme Court noted, "It is very common in Rajasthan to use poisonous snakes for committing murders. You have used an innovative method to commit a heinous crime." While Suraj's conviction was celebrated as a triumph for forensic investigation and police ingenuity, it also revealed a disturbing reality. India's legal system, built on precedent and the ability to prove crimes beyond reasonable doubt, struggles when confronted with innovative murder methods involving unpredictable elements like animal behavior. If Suraj had gotten away with even one murder, authorities might never have suspected him, attributing the snakebite to natural causes, as happens in thousands of other snakebite deaths annually. It was only the improbability of 2 separate snakebites in 2 months that triggered investigation. The Uthra murder case represents both triumph and terror. Triumph in that justice was ultimately served through meticulous scientific investigation, and terror in that it exposes a new murder methodology that is becoming common in India and difficult for authorities to detect. What does it mean when killers evolve their methods to use animals as weapons? How many other snakebite deaths in India might actually be murders disguised as accidents? And can forensic science ever evolve quickly enough to detect crimes that mimic natural disasters? What do you think? Should Suraj have received an even harsher sentence? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Hit like, subscribe to Silent Conspiracy, and ring the bell.